goed klopt. Ja.
Yes, I checked the sound. So hopefully this time I will not discover after a nice conversation of 2.5 hours that my own voice will be inaudible. So I did a sound check. But still, I did it twice because now I'm nervous that between sound checks something magical changed in my sound setting. So I'm still a
Yes,
bit nervous.
yeah, but it was really shit to have a nice
Yeah,
conversation and that it was lost.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I feel on the one side I felt like recapping that conversation
Mm.
because it felt like a good, yeah, like we had a really good conversation. It was, I think, potentially quite interesting for others. And at the same time, we did really go with the moment and the flow and our emotions. And yeah, I cannot just repeat and fake those.
No.
So I so I feel like maybe this will just remain. I think I will also call this episode 3, if I even call them episodes. Just that's a ghost in the middle. But still, I think the subject might be a bit the same because
Yeah.
we started talking about addiction again
Yeah.
last time, and you told me how you how your relationship with food was changing due to
All
yeah
right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
being out of that addiction
Yeah.
and uh,
Addictions.
yeah
Yeah, the way I now I don't have all the chemicals in my body. I feel like having less and less of all kinds of shit in my body, and maybe some feeling that I need stuff in my body, put the stuff in my body that's good for me. Yeah, I was talking about that, and starting to feel different, and just maybe because I have some more energy to think about that, to take care of that instead of just stuffing my mouth because you need to eat. Yeah.
you said you were eating more vegetables and less just carbs and
Yeah, at least I feel like doing that a bit. I will see what it brings because it's still pretty boring to just cook for myself. So,
yeah, it stinks. I agree.
but yeah, at least that's a feeling that's pretty unfamiliar for me to yeah to feel like to feel like eating food that's um, has a freshness to it.
Yeah,
That brings life into my body or something. Energy. I don't know. As repair. How do you call it? Repair abilities.
I mean you do look good. There's definitely a glimmer in your eye.
A little tired though, but
Yeah, same here. So we looked for whoever is watching this. We looked way better 2 days ago.
we're both lost in the YouTube vortex.
Yeah, yeah, totally. And that's the ironic thing is that that's actually what I shifted the subject to last time. I was said like, okay, so you're done with your major addiction, so let me talk about my addiction because I'm
Yeah,
currently this year I think so far I've been having a really difficult struggle with my multimedia addiction, which the last few years is mostly focused around YouTube and just being in the vortex and just not stopping in the evening so that I oversleep in the morning and don't have time for creative work or anything for myself except my day job, which is an excellent job, but which is not what fulfills me ultimately. So it doesn't feel very meaningful. So I was talking about my meaning crisis, which is
yeah, yeah.
aggravated by the fact that I just spend my free time on YouTube instead of yes, creating things which give meaning.
Yeah, yeah. I found the conclusion. My idea at least. I think you pretty much agreed, and it tied into your the graphic you had. Maybe that's nice to show that again about the energy.
Yeah,
learning
yeah, I
model
will.
thingy spiral. That it might be uh, no, what I don't know. Lost my train of thought there.
Yeah, you were talking about the conclusion of our last conversation.
Yeah, well, not the total conclusion, but about what you were saying about your meaning crisis and
Mm.
your lack of discipline and everything. And I was saying like it's uh, just and that's what it tied into the meaning dimension in the graph. That it's in my opinion that's a sign for me in my life more and more. I can see that when I'm motivated and everything. That's exactly that. And that's it. I have something in my throat that's annoying me. Excuse me. That's exactly that. A lack of meaning. That's why you're going around in circles
Yeah.
and yeah. And you just told me before we recorded that in general you have a problem with. Oh, fuck. I had some cookie with sesame. What is it in
Oh
English?
yeah,
And I
sesame.
think
Yeah.
one of the little thingies is stuck somewhere in my throat.
Oh, that's really horrible.
I think so. A little.
Yeah.
And so, but they're really good
Mm.
sesame cookies.
But they stick to your molars. That sucks.
I didn't care. They're really. I don't have molars anymore, so that's no problem. I need many teeth. So, but no, but yeah, you was telling me that you normally you have a problem with like uh, what is it? Using that as an excuse. That's what I hear you say. Of
Mm.
you that the lack of meaning or whatever that you tend to not accept to tell yourself, yeah, but there are reasons if you don't have discipline and that
Yeah.
you're.
Yeah. So
What are you
yeah,
saying?
yeah. That's worth repeating. So like for with when it comes to addiction, I often think like yes, sure, there's often an underlying cause, but when you're addicted, you a don't have energy to deal with the underlying cause, and b if you give in to your addiction, and b uh, addiction creates sufficient problems of itself so that you don't necessarily need some childhood trauma or underlying cause to be miserable. I mean, addiction will
Of
make you
course.
miserable, and then you can solve that misery by doing more addiction. And for me, my YouTube vortex
Yeah.
often feels like that. Like, I mean, I don't get up in the morning because I'm tired. I'm tired because I do too much YouTube in the evening, and then I feel shit in the morning. And instead of doing something with the limited time left, I do some more YouTube to avoid my feeling shit about myself. And then
Mm-hmm.
gone are is the opportunity for creative work. And
Yeah.
um,
But this touches might be this time we might want to take more time on this also. Well, you wanted to have more time for the really personal
yeah, this
feely
does.
feely, but yeah, sorry,
Yeah, this I agree. Let's spend some time on this.
because this for me it's really crucial to it's a really crucial thing. Like I've been addicted to uh, to about anything 20 years of my life. I smoked weed for 10 years. I drank coffee for 20. So, since I'm an adult, I'm addicted to all those things. I drank, well, when I was smoking weed, I drank less, but since I stopped it, since I live in France, I started drinking more and more because I'm in an environment where people drink a lot. So I was just drinking every day, most of the time, just mostly beer, not a strong alcohol, but still. And if it wasn't that, it's been gaming, it's been YouTube, screen time, anything,
Yeah,
porn. Even I've had years of my life that it was at least once time, once a day,
yep.
little
Same here.
spank the monkey, and
Yeah, yeah. This monkey has been spanked a lot too.
yeah, and it's you can ask a lot of those things if it's bad or less bad or whatever, or that's not the point, but crucial for me was that I never wanted to fight myself um, with the addiction in the sense that I never wanted to. I I've always been like, I want to do it, so I do it. Why would I fight with myself? What? Uh, my, I saw a lot of people in my life trying to quit this, trying to quit that, and I just didn't want to be that person. I was like, I either do it or I don't. But that all those weak
Yeah.
attitudes, like I'm trying, I don't want. No, you want it or you don't want it.
Yeah.
Maybe because I learned somewhere that it's better to like your emotions. It's better to feel them all out, go all in, to get out on the other end instead of resisting it, and then perpetuating the thing.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and we have a style difference in there, I think. But
Oh, but also an
I
experience
I
difference.
also the people that like what you're saying, go back, like what you say, is the lack of discipline, is the addiction the problem itself. There's a lot of people that just cannot get rid of their addictions ever, or for years and years and years. They just can't. Like I said, they might try, but they just can't. They lapse back all the time. And when they go find help and they are clean, are they really cured? I have big doubts about that.
Yeah.
I have very big doubts about that.
Yeah.
Like
So
people that they're like, a lot of the time you hear, yeah, but if I drink one glass or smoke one smoke, I will lapse back. And then I'm like, are you really cured, or are you just pretending? I don't know. It's not. It doesn't feel solid for me. It doesn't feel
no,
like you changed.
I get what you mean. And yeah. So and I think I can also make it quite clear why. For all this time, I've been having a different model in my head, and why I believe more in my model. And to be honest, at this point I think my model is wrong. I also think your model is wrong. I don't know the
Um,
right model.
can you keep that thought? Do we might why do we want maybe try to restart the thingy? But because the screen is stopping a lot on my side.
Yeah.
Your side too, or
No. Yeah. I see your. So you see your image freezing quite a
a
bit.
lot of the yeah, mine too. Do you have the thingies uh, to glue two pieces of movie together?
Uh, yeah. I can. I can. I've never done that, but I can find out.
Maybe, but sometimes it helps if you restart the stream, doesn't it?
We can try.
It's freezing a lot on my side. Last
I'll,
time it wasn't doing that at all.
I'll pause this. Okay, so we seem to be back with better video quality.
Yeah, it might be because I switched to Wi-Fi in the beginning of the thingy, and I don't know. Maybe it seems to be a lot smoother right now, at
Yeah,
least for the moment.
a lot better.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Right.
Oh yeah.
You
So
are saying that you think both our attitudes or ways of seeing that are wrong.
yeah. Yeah. I think we're both completely wrong. And I hope we can formulate why and find some common ground. But so my model
Yeah,
is
I think this is pretty basic to a lot of life, a lot of human life.
Yeah, I think because last time I think we might have accidentally circumvented this basic issue, this basic disagreement. We might have kind of cushioned it for each other, the main difference. So what I felt for
we
a
talked
long
about
time
it a bit, but
is that so the exact thing you described, the surrendering bit and just not fighting it, and then coming out the other end. I've tried, like I feel like I've really tried that in the past, and where it landed me was on the couch, depressed, wanting to die, basically. Like because the first thing that dies is your fucking sleep rhythm, and when I don't have a proper sleep circadian rhythm, I usually just feel miserable, like physically miserable. My head's one big foggy crappy mess, and I just feel unpleasant.
Yeah, and I found myself after 20 years of abuse just going further and further down, and it's had I needed somebody telling me I don't want you in my life like that to
Yeah,
to kick to kick at least 3 of my addictions, 2 at the same time in one
and
month.
and there's another nuance. Like one thing I've learned in the recent years is that, so like with the screen addiction, I would often give up on it. Yeah, just be permissive with myself, and then every now and then I got really tired of it. That for a week or less than a week, I would be like really staying away from the screens at bad times and do stuff that was more meaningful to me, or at least I was convinced was more meaningful to me. That's a whole different discussion. Like, was that really meaningful? Yeah, well, that ties in a lot to what you're saying. And what I've learned is it's okay, you can just reset. So I fail, I give into the addiction, and then next week I can try again and try again and try again. And so, I mean, once you're okay with failure, then it's not so bad if you bounce back and forth, then it's a fight which you don't, I mean, then it's just like a rails. You can get off the rails as often as you want. As long as you get back on one more time, then you fall off. Then it's not so much.
I think with substance abuse, it's a bit hard to do that. A bit harder, because it's really hard to. The withdrawal is pretty sucky.
Yeah, and I need to counteract my own point now by saying that I've had a few years where my strategy worked pretty well. So I had these rules which I committed to, and I often took pretty good care of myself on average. And especially so when I started a business on at the side of my day job, and my work weeks became like 50-60 hours, then suddenly all this discipline and really turned into kind of self-care, like taking care of myself, self-love. But now I found
that's where we found common ground last time. I noticed the same in the past few years. In the summertime, I'm really busy. I'm working like on average 12 hours a day, 6 days out of the week, and for a few months. And then I have no problem. My screen, I don't even switch on my computer for like 4 months or something. I don't play games. I don't do anything. I'm just at my work. It's a campsite. I'm just there, and I go to bed, and I chill out a bit, maybe after work, like an hour, chill, do nothing. Might even light a screen, but most of the time too tired for that. And it's like what you said, just taking care of yourself to be able to not die, to just have the energy to do what you want to do. That's exciting, and it's responsibility, and you just have to be there the best you can.
And I think for both of us, we've talked about this before off camera. We've both learned this relatively recent in our lives, and I've been encouraged, for instance, by Jordan Peterson in this, in where he says a man is a pack animal, and if you don't carry a load, you will be miserable. And currently, I've shifted from carrying a load that was like really heavy with obligation and duty to just carrying my workload, which frankly having more and more like my day job is becoming more and more difficult to use as a source of meaning.
Excitement goes down. You know the trick now. It was like you said recently. You learned this trick, and now you're starting to know the trick. I can do it. Same for me. You prove you can do it, and now you have the proof, and now what?
And that so that's the common ground then, that we learned that gives a kind of carrying a burden gives a kind of meaning. But I now feel that I'm at a point in my life where I actually need to go out and make my own meaning, find my own meaning. That the meaning. So since our last conversation, actually, my screen addiction worsened. So that was funny and ironic, because I felt like we had a really good, solid conversation. I felt I was totally bummed out that the recording had failed. But at the same time, I
me too.
felt like quite at peace, and I felt like, oh yeah, tomorrow is going to be a better day because I'm so much more at ease with myself. But that was not the case. That turned out to not be the case. I was just only starting to touch the surface again for the very first time in a like I said, I felt like I had done what I said just like a few minutes ago. Like I thought I was done with the soul searching and all that. Not that I felt that I was cured, but I was so sick of navel staring and working on myself, dealing with childhood trauma, that I was just honestly not willing to go there anymore. And
Right.
and look at so the last time I did go digging there,
You were over that.
yeah, I did. I thought I still had
Bastard.
scars, and I still had maybe even some open wounds here and there, but I had kind of assumed that I
Far, far enough along that you could keep yourself on track with your willpower. Is that the
yeah, I
characterization?
think that's a very good. That's better than what I would have said. Like I felt that uh, I definitely wouldn't make my problems worse, at least by applying willpower to myself. But I think in the last half year, this has actually been a lie. So if I'm honest, like I've been stagnant for half a year, like since I took off some steam with the side project and finally stopped participating in that business.
Mm-hmm.
I uh, I just cannot escape revisiting our roots, our common
Right.
roots.
So, but how have you answered where our ideas about how to deal with addiction diverge and why we're wrong?
Yeah. So you said you said that for you believe that the right way through is true. And I said, like, for me that was a failure, that approach. So I maybe also
Yeah,
because I
yeah,
have different type of addiction,
like
but
yeah,
for me the way through was, for me the way was more like, yeah, continuing to fight it.
yeah,
And
yeah. It's
so
discipline.
so
So
yeah, my answer was
willpower.
more discipline, more control, more willpower. And your
Mm-hmm.
answer was, that's also something you tried to point out yesterday, that we had tried to learn different coping styles in our lives, like
Yeah,
that you have actually spent much of your life learning to surrender and go with the flow,
yeah.
basically.
Not fight myself. Yeah, go with the flow. Yeah, just let go. Yeah, and that
And
you might have spent a lot of time uh, having discipline. I was thinking about it. I don't know. I was implying that like the things you're naturally good at, you don't notice, and that is why we might be obsessed with the other thing that we're not good at naturally. I don't know if that's really true in this case and with this subject, but it's funny idea.
yeah, to recap, maybe for the viewers, like you had the observation, I also don't know if it's true, but that maybe as young adults or kids even, that I had more of a proclivity to just follow my gut and start things, not finish them, basically be a creative bomb.
Hmm.
And you had more of a proclivity to be, yeah, to finish something you started and not start 10 things at the same time. So that for me, because discipline was so challenging, I kind of might have obsessed over it and zoomed in on it a lot
Yeah,
as a skill.
yeah.
Whereas for
I
you,
confirmed. Yeah, I'm really single-minded, and I don't. I hate starting something else when the other thing isn't finished yet and stuff like that. Yeah, and
yeah. So I think that's,
I'm pretty much like our mother, like very,
yeah,
very. Yeah, but might be true.
yeah, that might
Some
definitely,
technical thingy. I have Oh, now it gets yellow. I have a triangle in my little small screen here,
Yeah.
and
Oh
that is
yeah.
a red triangle. And
Oh
you too, but yours just turned yellow and then disappeared. You have any idea what those are?
no, no. Yours also is yellow now actually.
Maybe this is the quality of the connection or something.
Something I guess.
I was afraid maybe it's telling us that we don't have audio or something again.
Oh, that would
starting
suck so
starting
much.
starting to be as neurotic about it as you.
Yeah, I'm quite frightened to be frank. Um,
So, but yeah, that might be that might be a thing that we're
it's interesting to jump to the meta plane for a moment. Like I feel that it may be also because we're way more rotten than 2 days ago, both of us, like tired.
Mhm.
Like I feel our conversation is less clear, but uh, I think it will, at least for ourselves, be more interesting. So 2 days ago, I felt like we had a pretty clear, well-paced conversation, and I feel now we're just probably a bit more messy, but at the same time, I find it more interesting because I want to. I am trying to learn something new about myself, and I am trying to find
Right,
a new course in my life, and I
right,
do want to make
yeah,
myself useful in the world, and I cannot be useful in the world if I keep doing the same thing I've always done.
right. I totally confirm. Yeah, it's a moment in my life for both of us apparently. Yeah. With all the addictions I quit and the discovery that the most important thing for me in my life is to be able to be myself as much as possible. That might be very woo woo for a lot of people, being yourself, but for me it means a lot of things. And
What does it mean for you,
that,
being yourself as much as possible? What?
that you don't have to play a role all the time. That you can be authentic and not. When you say yourself, you usually refer to the story we're making up about ourselves over a lifetime. And I try to explain it to you too. I think that it's more like a compass. It's first of all, my whole life I wanted not to be like what I was supposed to be, like follow an education, get a career, get a house, get a family, all those things. That's something I didn't want to do. It started there, and I wanted to find my own way because, like you, I wasn't. I was totally not interested in the thing that were offered to us that are normal people, a normal life for people. Everything about it, even being rich and famous. When I was really young, I found that very suspect because I've seen too much examples of people that are rich and famous and aren't happy. So it might be a big part of our education or whatever, all these things together. I was convinced that everything on the table as a choice was shit.
Yeah,
And it hurt me a lot to see people living their shitty lives. And I told in the other conversation that I did some spiritual trainings at around 18 years old, before my 20s even, where I saw a lot of people in midlife crisis and everything. So it confirmed my idea that no, I just don't want to go there. It's just the people that at 40 years old around the midlife crisis discover that they have everything, but they have no meaning. They have no idea why they're doing stuff. So yeah, being yourself has always been my quest, which is an endless quest. And it's when I want to be myself, it means it means I don't want, and like I said, don't want to be like the others. Why don't I want to be like others? I fought 10 years long. I fought with myself because I thought I still had to do an education and everything, but I didn't want to, and to decide finally that I wasn't going to do that. That was like was a conquest. No, a conquest.
yeah,
What is the word? A
yeah.
victory or something. But this is the question is why don't I want that? You start soul searching. What's wrong with me? Or later on, what's wrong with the world that I don't want it? Why does it pain me so much? Why do I hate it so much? So it made me think about everything. About we have an pretty much educated in trying to in a father who's by behavioralist. What is it called in English? I'm butchering that word.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
It's behavioral psychology and stuff like that.
He was also butchering the title because he never earned it, but so.
No, but it was yeah, it was his thing.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, if he earned it, if it was officially or
no,
not.
No.
And a mother and child psychology. So we're like psychology, human nature. I want to understand why I am who I am, why other people are the way they are. So that's that. It's human nature, psychology, society, history. Where did we come from? Why did we become like that? How can it be different? Economy, politics, the whole shebang. Ecology. We're very much educated on that. So with this simple question, I just want to live my life the way that feels better for me, that I just know even less, that a way I don't hate. It opens up a quest to understand the whole fucking world. And when I say, like recently, it all come together in like that being myself is the most important thing. It's all that what I'm saying, all those things. That's my big point of interest. How I live my life, how we live our lives, and everything that's with there. And like I was saying in the beginning of this rant, it's like that's more like a compass than a story about who I am. It's a trust that I start to get in myself, that in my life and every moment of the day, I will take, if I have confidence and I use my brain and I'm just me, and I try to minimize my fear and my doubt and everything. Well, doubt is hard because doubt is the only thing you get if you start to think about stuff. But to try to minimize my fear and everything, I can have confidence that I will choose a route that most fits me and my goals. So it's not like I have to have a plan, that what we talked about last time a bit, or even the opposite. Maybe I'm starting to think the opposite. In plan only makes me rigid. I just have to try to be open to all the possibilities that are around me, and to minimize my fear, to be able to take those opportunities.
Be open to serendipity, basically.
Right. All those kinds of things. So that's in short what it means to me, and how I start to feel how powerful it is and how difficult it is to try to be yourself. Air quotes. Yourself is such a loaded thing.
It's good that you make clear that it's clear what you mean by that, because it's used in different ways by different people sometimes, and sometimes it's like just like finding some elusive inner true version of yourself, but you're quite specific that for you it means just listening to noticing what you experience and what you want to experience,
and what you're fighting with, what you're doubting about, where your pain is, where your sadness is, all those things together, and just trying to be honest, at least to myself, that's the focal point of my life, all those things, and that all the other things are that's my passion, that's my thing in life, and tell that, and being able to tell that to my girlfriend, for example, when we're not agreeing on how to live life, that I'm not afraid to explain why it's different from me, how I see it, how I feel it, and that I'm not going to change it, because that's my thing in life, my passion. So and on top, to the little cherry on the cake, is that I'm also convinced that if you want to change the world, like we both do a bit, because it goes together with wanting to live a different life.
Yeah.
It implies for me that I want to change people's life because I see misery. But I think the best thing is to communicate why you think that, what you feel, how you see it, to share yourself, your experience, and that you might resonate with like-minded people.
Yeah.
And that's the most powerful tool we have, is to share that, to communicate, to if you're not a writer or whatever, you change even then you change the world one mind at a time. So
Yeah.
and it's often a question of liberating people, because they see I'm not the only one that doesn't want this, that wants something different.
So I want to underline something you said there, because I don't want it to get lost in the stream of thought and words.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is you said that you remarked that it's valuable to share how you perceive, like how the world feels to you, how you perceive the world, like what you like and don't like. And I too, like for a long time, I thought that to be to be able to contribute to the conversation, I have to have solutions. And that's also what you know. What Daniel Quinn was also.
No answers, and knowing reality and all that kind of stuff.
Exactly, like you had to have it already, but that's actually part of the pathology, and that's also like what Daniel Quinn says. Like that's a question he always used to get when he was still alive. Like, okay, so what do we do? He said, like, you're clever people. Do what works for you. Try things. Fail.
Exactly.
And that's the whole
and especially
thing.
We talked about this before. Especially, just don't be afraid to ask the questions. Asking the right questions is way more important than having the right answer, because there hardly ever are.
I want to go a bit further than that, because you don't even have to ask the right questions. Like, even just being honest about what the miserable state of the world does to you, and the miserable options offered to you, laid out in front of you, like you said, nothing on the table appealed to you already as a adolescent.
Yeah.
Even that is helpful, because and that brings me, actually, that for me, that's a bridge to our cult like upbringing with our guru like father. Is that might be the advantage of growing up outside of the system with very critical parents, is that we've never been able to really eat up the stories. We've both tried. I mean, we've both tried to live I'm living a normal life, actually, at this moment. You've tried it a lot, but it's not.
I'm pretty regular also.
Yeah, we can go through the motions, but we cannot actually buy into the story. We've never been able to do that fully, 100%.
No, and both of us, what we did the last couple of years was because it was new and an experiment, that you prove something, and it was good to sense that you can do it and that you can earn your money, that you have your place in a company, and that you're important for the other guys.
It's nice to be, so we've both experienced like that hard work and just the regular things that regular people learn when they get a bit more solid, turn into more solid adults. So we're not.
And an important thing that I learned, that it's better to do something than to just sit at home, do nothing for years on end.
So we are no longer just the hippies screaming from the outside. We've cleaned up our room. Let's say it like that. To stick to Jordan Peterson's phraseology.
Yeah.
But that puts us in a position. So we're actually in a reasonable good position to criticize what goes on around us. And even just that is valuable, because I mean, like, many people who like zoom out and look at the big picture, it's quite clear to them that society is as it's going right now, like economy-wise, ecology-wise, socially, health, mental health-wise, it just cannot march on
Yeah.
indefinitely. I mean, it's,
Yeah, I loved some guy that said recently, we're trying to keep our system in place with all our power, and the outside, well, like it's already long overdue for change, but we resist the change with all the power we have, and it's like a bubble with a lot of pressure from the outside to change and the more longer and the more we keep,
the harder it will explode.
the harder it will actually break.
It's like,
Very nice analogy.
and I mean that's clear to many people, and but what's really missing, like not there's, I mean there's plenty of outside perspectives, but still most perspectives are like, how can we change the system so that it still works? There's very few people who have a completely outside the system perspective. So like, yeah, my perspective has never really shifted to in system. I mean, I can function in the system, but my perspective is not from this system. And
No,
that's something I'm often missing. And like for Daniel Quinn,
right,
he had that perspective. He had that really outside perspective. He really thought
right.
outside of the system. And
Yeah,
and
I can't identify either.
and even
Yeah.
if we don't have good questions, at least we can describe the system more clearly. But because we didn't grow up in it fully, we only haphazardly. I mean, yeah.
I can give an example when I noticed that I'm not in the same mind space, like well, talking about my girlfriend again, that because it's something you stumble upon. At least I stumble upon a lot with other people, that we had discussions about life, work, education, having a job, earning money, and pension, and I just can't get myself. I don't share the fear of how to say that. We were having a back and forth about it. I was like, yeah, but why do you want? I was saying at a certain point, yeah, but you don't have to work. We live in Western Europe. We have like a social safety net. You can go sit at home and do nothing, and most of the time you're better off when you do that than when you go working for the minimum wage and the poverty trap. And
Yeah.
she's of a mind, yeah, but that's really shit, and you don't have nothing. And well, she comes from a reasonable, well-off background, not rich, but like what's the word, the middle class, and she can't imagine. She's friends that have that's really poverty. I'm like, no, it's you're better off when you sit at home than when you go work for the minimum wage. Like a lot of people work for that and try to feed their family from it, from the minimum wage. That's a shit life, because you don't even have time for yourself. You're just being a fucking slave. And she isn't, so doesn't agree. Yeah, that's really shit. She's afraid of being in that system.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, you don't have to work in our countries. You don't. They try to force you and everything, but it's pretty easy to just sit at home. It's getting harder in the Netherlands and stuff. But if you really want to, you can just sit at home and don't work,
Yeah,
and get money for it, and get all kinds of extras. You don't pay this, you don't that. And
yeah, but
if you get two or three kids, you don't have to work at all. At least in France, it's you're rich. If you have 3 kids, you're done. You're okay. Especially when you're a lone mom. What is it called? Single mom.
Yeah.
But what I was trying to say is, excuse me, that she is afraid basically of that. I was like, yeah, it's not fun, so that's why I prefer having a life like this, working, and I'm good. I'm good. I'm okay. But the idea. So I was like, so, but why do you work? Is it for but to pay the bills, to save up for holidays, to buy stuff? And I'm like, yeah, but my life is too valuable to go work all day every day for that. And then see somebody that at least wants to do something that she's passionate about, at least a bit. But the bottom line is, that's an extra. To do something fun for your money is extra. She just wants to have the money, the job, the thingy, and to have a pension for later. And I just cannot get in that mindset. I just can't.
No.
I never felt that fear. I never felt that. Yeah, but what are you going to do when you're old? I'm like, my life is before. When I'm old, I'm old. I'm done for. It's over. You know. I'd rather. I was like, I always have the choice to die. Dying is free. You know. And it's
Yeah.
like, why would I suffer the rest of my life to be well off
Yeah, no, but you have to.
when I'm old?
You have to suffer, and then in the end, you can. When you're feeble, you can squeeze out all the investments you made.
No, but that's the point. And most of the people die when they finally stop their job. They die like a day later. It's a common story. That's a little black and white, but it's a lot of times it's happened like that.
Yeah.
But you had your best year. What do you care? And in the West also, you don't die of hunger. You have this little poor people pension. So then again, you don't need. Yeah, but then life is not comfortable. It's shit. It's true. But
okay, so now I'm going to interrupt you.
Yeah.
Because it's my podcast. And so.
That was just to say how I'm not in that world, like what you're saying. How I'm outside.
Yeah, but I think
those moments I realized.
I can make that way clearer by interrupting you and contradicting you, and forcing you to pinpoint what makes it so different. So so superficially, I disagree, because, like you said, when people finally get that pension, they die because they lose meaning. If there is social support and they don't have another means of meaning, they lose meaning. And I mean, status in our society depends on having and holding a job. And so as long as there's not something like a universal basic income that acknowledges that you have some value as a human being existing and maybe doing things for others, or just the business of being human, then it's actually a pretty big price to pay, to fall out of that whole work boat. Right.
That's for most people, that's the meaning of their life, what I just described.
Yeah, that exactly. That's my point. That's my point. So that's you wouldn't take away something they don't feel like doing. You would simultaneously take away their meaning.
Right.
And
because they don't see other meanings than that. For them, they only know. Yeah.
For me, it's the opposite, because my day job, and that the same was of course for our parents. My day job is, at this point in my life, a hindrance to meaning. It doesn't help me find meaning. It's a hindrance, because I'm not I mean, it makes me money. I can live well of it, and I can have the holidays you mentioned. I don't build a pension because I don't believe in it. I don't want to control my future that badly. But it hinders me in finding meaning, because it takes up so much time and energy that I have to be quite disciplined. Like, that's the YouTube thing again. Like, I have to be quite disciplined to have enough time in the margins to things like we're doing right now, to do something where I feel like I can make my voice heard. And but most people, when you're locked into that paradigm, that is your meaning. You have to produce, you have to consume. That's who you. That's in large part who you are.
Yeah, the car you have in your driveway is a lot of your meaning. So every week you go polish it and it shines, and look at my car. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
I love those things too. I like having nice stuff.
Yeah, everybody does. But, like Tyler Durden says, Fight Club, the stuff you own ends up owning you.
Right.
But that's
because
of course
it breaks down. Huh?
But of course that's not your point. Your point is, I think, that you don't believe in the pension fairy tale. And you're right to, because the pension won't be there when we're old. I mean,
Yeah, not only the pension, but the whole thing. I, I,
I so
the whole thing that you choose for the security of your job before doing something you really like. But for a lot of people, that's not that important. They don't feel the pain as much, apparently. But regardless of that, I did see a lot of people in my life that do feel the pain, that live in misery, because they don't see another
yeah,
meaning, or they might see another meaning, or I don't know, but they're just suffering without words, maybe without being
yeah.
able to put words to it.
So that is that. So this actually gets very close to where I'm having problems with meaning, and where I
Yeah,
feel that where like why many people don't have it. So I feel that many people don't have troubles with meaning, and they can be like when people are just happy with their 9 to 5 and their family life and their consuming and their holidays and everything. I think that is because they are able to be quite myopic, short-sighted. So they don't look at the big picture. I think always when you look at the big picture, like if you have any knowledge or intellect whatsoever, and you look at the big picture and you see the harm you're doing just by buying that stuff, even and like that's something I suffer under personally. Like I feel ethically quite bad about myself by all that stuff that I buy, and that I cannot like I buy my food like everybody in plastic packaging,
that that that's
and
why you
I'm
become.
bringing
That's also why you became vegan.
yeah. Yeah, so I'm affecting a lot of like through externalities
Mm-hmm.
just by participating in the whole supply pipeline.
Of
I'm
course, yeah.
contributing to the to what's left of wilderness disappearing. I'm contributing to slavery. I'm contributing to just the world getting a shitter place. So I mean, we're
Yeah,
basically turning natural resources into trash, and if you, I mean, I think many people can find meaning as long as they're just thinking about I'm doing my part in my job. And for me, that has also
yeah.
worked for a few years again. But because, I mean, of course, we had this counterculture upbringing, it's quite an effort to stay zoomed in so much that I don't care about the big picture. And the big picture is that I'm a drop in a, well, how do you say it? I'm one of the wildebeest in the stampede going over the cliff.
Right.
And and it just when I zoom out, I just like this has been so for years. Like I'm always struggling like with how I'm basically part of the harmful thing going on. I'm complicit. You know, I feel like one of the Germans in World War II who was not really that racist and not really that anti-Semitic, but still I'm going along. I'm destroying nature. While I know the harm that's being done, I'm being complicit by
Yeah.
being in the system, but at the same time I have very little choice, or I have to live in the margins like a bum or something. That's like
Is this sounds pretty meta, but is this also the pain you were talking about, the thing that
yeah, part of it.
is this really
Yeah,
why you
so
have trouble with the world as it is?
yeah, and this comes down also a bit to childhood trauma, so that ties into it, and I think it's good if I'm open about that because, um, uh, yeah, because what I'm saying it requires some grains of salt. Like it's this is actually a harmful attitude to just copy, and so I
What is
made
hard?
some. So so how it ties into my childhood trauma is like fundamentally I have a feeling that I'm worthless and that I'm not entitled to feel pain. So there are things which hurt me, like at this point in my life, that those are mostly the ethical circumstances I'm in. Like I feel like I'm in all kinds of ethical dilemmas which I cannot navigate my way out of. But so now I need to be clearer. So I have an essential feeling of worthlessness. So
Mm-hmm.
that's the trauma. But then
Mm-hmm.
I've always tried to compensate that. That's by being what you do when you're brought up by a narcissist whose example you try to follow. I've tried to compensate that by being proving that I'm more valuable than others, and which I think is actually incredibly common in a culture that encourages separation and specialness. So I had to be special to deserve love and for me to reach a point where everything within you is somehow magically accepted by the outside world that sees your worth through the special things you do.
Right.
But this actually ties into what Daniel Quinn is saying. So what is this feeling of worthlessness?
Mm-hmm.
That's the feeling of separation for me.
Separation, yeah.
So
in general, from other people, from the world.
Yeah, so let's just go back to our childhood, because that's something we share. And like when I was like people, like our sisters, they have more memories than we do, but they sometimes accuse me of suppressing a lot of memories because I don't have a lot of childhood memories. But I think up to a point they might be right, but up to a certain age, there was no childhood trauma. I was happy, and not happy.
Mm-hmm.
I just was spaced out of my mind. I was not blissful, I think, but I was so much part of the whole of the family. I mean, we were a big family, 2 parents, 6 kids, that I felt like a finger in a hand. There were no memories because there was no me as a separate, distinct thing. That's why I think it's hard to, maybe there would be memories if I were, well, let's say enlightened enough to get rid of this false sense of separation with the world. But the childhood trauma is that at some point I got disconnected, and before I was ready for that, I had to develop an identity as a separate entity, which might be a normal traumatic process, but I kind of get stuck in that. And I was just today just going through that in the context of that addiction, like, okay, so what is the pain that I'm trying to avoid with my screen addiction? So what's the pain I don't want to feel? And that's the pain that's just in general, that I don't feel entitled to pain, because there was a period in my life as a child where I was just crying and crying all the time, and then just felt that nobody was interested, and there was no so my pain wasn't good. It felt like there was a disapproval of my pain, so it was not the pain which is the problem, it's the problem that I'm ashamed of it. So and that sense of separation, I think, that runs through a whole culture. That's what Daniel Quinn has spent much of his work pointing out. He says what happened when leaver culture was replaced by taker culture, or basically where taker culture is totalitarian agriculture, which took over 10,000 years ago, and through some runaway zero-sum game dynamics, just everybody had to compete on this new level. You either got destroyed, absorbed, or you had to become as ruthless and godlike. So we got disconnected from nature. In our heads, of course, we're still part of nature. I mean, that's part of the thing that people are trying to avoid now. If they want to, if you want to be able to tell yourself, oh, I'm leading an okay life and it's meaningful, then you have to deny the fact that we're living collectively in such a way where not a few tweaks will suffice it to make it in accordance with the laws of nature. I mean, we're running an experiment that goes against the laws of nature. You cannot grow indefinitely on the planet. It's just nonsense. So in that sense, maybe we are a bit disconnected, but not truly, of course, because the
you mean like economical growth and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and ecological devastation.
I'm not. What is it? I don't feel like confirming that right away. I think that needs
no. But
discussion. Those kinds of points. But I agree with you that we
can do that.
Yeah, we
go there later in this discussion. So I just want to finish the where I feel that.
I agree with your. I agree with your basic point that just a little. It's not a question of a few tweaks. I totally agree with it.
So I think it's not only that we're headed for disaster. We've been in collapse for some time already, I think, and it's just been I think we're already over the cliff. It's just that, and that's actually also Daniel Quinn's point, was that also, although that was a few decades ago, we're falling from the cliff, but we've managed so far not to crash into. We're flapping with our non-working wings a bit, but we're just saying like, oh, look at us, we're great, we're flying, but we're actually crashing into the ground. We're not. We're one of those flight experiments before the Wright brothers. We're not the ones that are actually taking flight. We're crashing. We're falling down. But I was actually digressing a bit. What my point was is that during that agricultural revolution, where we were pulled out of our tribal context because the groups got too big and we got authoritarian structures and we had to get more and more authoritarian to compete with other groups, and you had these you got group selection became a thing, although that's still a topic of debate for evolutional biologists. There's still the dogma that all selection happens at the individual level, but of course that's nonsense. I mean, groups compete, and if one group can completely wipe out another group, then definitely there's some group selection dynamics going on. But I mean, we all got caught up in that, and that just uprooted us from our place in a place in nature. But what's more important, what changes, and I think quite abruptly, and it has accelerated, and the world's monotheistic religions made it way worse, is we convince ourselves like, okay, but we're special, we're not animals, we're not part of the living community, we're distinct, we're not fingers in the hand, we don't go back into the system, no, we're special. And this place was made for us.
Somebody I was watching yesterday said that we have the power of God.
Yeah. And that's literally like, for a long time that of course was only marginally so, but that has at some point has started growing really exponentially. And I mean,
that was their point also. Since the Second World War, we the first time in our history we had the power to really destroy the world. And before that, no.
Was it Daniel Smachtenberg by any accident?
Might have been him. Yeah, I've seen a thing with him yesterday.
He's really into the catastrophic possibilities ahead of us.
Yeah, and the way the childish way that we wield the power that we have, like you say, we're not part of nature anymore. We have so much power that it's godlike.
Yeah, so I re-listened and read much of Daniel Quinn's work as of late, and he's just really, on many things, he's so on point. He's in describing our full sense of separation, because of course, like all spiritual.
I do like by contrast. He said we have been wielding this. He said the power to destroy since the Second World War, but he said the way we construct cities since thousands of years. That's also a way of yielding that power, and I do like those images. I think it's pretty positive also to have the capabilities to create such things. It's an incredible thing, powerful thing.
I'm going to do a lateral thinking trick. So one thing that Daniel Quinn says that has changed is he said leavers or pre-totalitarian agriculture people, or like people are still living in the Amazon right now, or some nomadic herders scattered around the world. He said they lived in the hands of the gods, and the gods were everywhere. It's like, and like he says also that the original religion was universal, because, I mean, not that they agreed on a set of axioms or anything, but that a committee came together. Of course not, but it was animism, because things were animated. You see life, the fire of life. You see life around you. So the original religion was life.
Right.
And we, however, are special, and we do not trust ourselves to the hands of the gods, because we are special. We can do a better job, and we want to petition more resources for ourselves. No, we're not part of the community. We're just going to take. We need more space. We're special. We're going somewhere.
Right.
And I think many of these things, he's not so clear on it, but I think many of these things have just simply grown out of runaway group selection. I mean, when you have, well, it's easy to see, right? If you have one group which is a bit more ruthless than the other one, it just becomes game theory dynamics very ruthlessly. And the most brutal one with the most brutal religion that justifies the most brutal action just wins. And like Daniel Smachtenberg always say, we're now at this, like with all these crazy arms races, we're now at some ridiculously advanced point technologically, but spiritually we're actually like really poor compared to our early ancestors. And we're way less wise than, I mean, we've been this way for maybe 10,000 years. In many of the parts of the world's way shorter, but we've so much less wisdom than these ancestral lines, which often in the mythology go back to the back of time. We say to every previous generation, oh, by the way, all your knowledge, all your wisdom is irrelevant. Now the kids have all the wisdom, but there they just had the feeling of like, okay, we go all the way back in time. I mean, not that they kept good records, of course. It was all
right. Even recent, like you said, the whole world was animated. The gods were everywhere, and I translated to a feeling like even more recently that we en masse are leaving religion. We talked about that a lot before. Is not. We are third generation atheist family, so that's really pretty unique. I can speak, and so we don't have anything with religion. It's not even an issue to be against religion for us because it just isn't. And we talked about it pretty much. That might also have the feeling that even that is something that's for the worse. It's good if you consider all the bad things that come from organized religion, but the lack of faith, which also is tied into meaning and everything,
connection,
isn't a good thing.
No.
Yeah, and I recently, like I was telling about being myself and this and that, and you were joking saying it before we were recording, that I seem to have that more and more. I get this feeling again, like nothing happens, everything happens for a reason, and things seem to be coming together, and it's a feeling like I can finally take my place in the world, but because the world is ready for it. I don't know. It's really, those are really spiritual feelings, and that I can trust on myself to find the right path and everything. I'm feeling. I can feel more and more. I can feel faith.
Oh yeah. And that's...
even in my and trust. Even in my relationship, I seem to be capable. Might be the first time in my life to choose to trust, to choose to have faith. I seem to have access to that, and that's something in our modern world that has been lost. Like I say, recently, even with leaving organized religion and everything, and like what you're talking about, way past when the whole world was animated, was the gods, was live, everything had a story and had meaning.
Yeah.
And it's a bad thing. And the worst thing is when it starts to become meta, and it's another discussion. But that we do find all those things culturally in other things, like the green religion right now, all the people that are social justice, or even with the current pandemic, people are
the more right-wing approach, the consumerism and the producerism and the that's
the holiness of the free market, and if you don't work, you better die, and social safety nets are disgusting. Well, that's for especially the American way of seeing things, but the things take the place of those religious beliefs, and people are as fanatic about it and as little open to discussion and
of course,
interrogation,
like
questions.
You said, this is not a call to go back to organized religion, please not. But I think you already kind of made the bridge I wanted to make, which is that what you described with the pension thing, like you described that you really have difficulty connecting with people over that when they are taking that thing seriously.
I can't share their feeling, their fears, their urgency for that. I just can't be bothered.
Yeah, but that's because that's you prefer to put your life in the hands of the gods there, I think. I mean,
Yeah, you
not
might.
that
Yeah,
you
yeah,
believe in specific gods, but that's the feeling, that's the
yeah,
surrender. Like it will be all right,
yeah.
and
I'll see that. We'll see that when we get there.
and you literally said like, yeah, okay, and what else? Then I die. Then I die, and that is actually a thing that we lost also, according to Daniel Quinn, in that 10,000 years ago, is if you died, you died. You know that's um,
Yeah,
because you weren't gone, because you felt connection. You are part of a whole. You weren't gone. You were just in a
yeah,
different form.
yeah. Right.
And for that, you don't have to believe in an afterlife. But that's only when you have like a very big ego and you're very disconnected from everything. Then I need to have an afterlife, right? Because I need to continue
Yeah,
to exist. Because otherwise, I don't exist. Because I'm not connected to the whole. But if you just
yeah,
go back into the whole, like he has this example of, I don't know if that's in Lapland or which country, but where you have an indigenous people who are reindeer hunters, and they, or no, just deer, I don't know where. I'd have to look it up, but they believe that they are basically one of the life phases of deer.
mm,
So
right,
they
right.
go back into the grass, and then the deer eat them again. But just like some organisms have
Right.
these weird larval stages, or no, of course, a common
Yeah,
example is a butterfly. But they just felt like
yeah,
they're just a different phase of the deer because they largely subsided
yeah,
on the deer, and then basically that's not so far stretched. Like it's just, even scientifically, it's not a stretch. It's, I mean, you're made up of these molecules. I
right,
mean,
right. You can even stretch it. Now we know about the universe and stuff. You can even stretch it to stardust. And even if you include consciousness and all those things, we're all just stardust. Everything
yeah,
is. If you talk about being part of the whole,
yeah.
it's scientifically true. If you believe in ghosts and whatever, it doesn't even need those ideas. Not really.
No, no, and that's
But
and it's
it's so
interesting that,
different than when you believe that when you're a good boy you will go to heaven. It's such a different masochistic way of
but
viewing
but
life.
that does come down to that whole thing of um, needing these lights in the future. If you're basically living a miserable, disconnected life, and it has to have meaning and make sense, and um, um, and that brings me to my own problem with meaning, and that's,
Yeah, and this ties into what you were saying about our addictions and how we're wrong in both our assumptions.
yeah, kinda, because I feel like, I mean, of course you are wrong because you say something else than I, but I'm also thinking I am wrong. But um, because yeah, let's first try to explain like where I'm stuck with meaning.
Yeah, yeah, of course.
Um, so my crisis. So actually, Daniel, if I go to the Daniel Quinn team again, I if I just honestly tell the stupid things I believe, and then counteract it with what's actually the truth, and where I think I could find meaning. But
Yeah,
I cannot find that meaning without actually changing my attitude. Like that's for me, that's the essence of what culture really is, right? Your attitude towards certain things, your perspective. I mean, that's like the old point of evangelical atheist is there's only a very small distinction between an evangelical atheist and an evangelical Christian, because they both believe that there's one right way to look at the world, which is like the opposite of the point I'm going to try to make.
Yeah.
So what am I thinking now? The first one is I have no intrinsic value. That's just childhood trauma. So the second.
That was your beginning. You're feeling worthless.
Yeah, and the second one is then so I must show worth. So I must develop some value, and this is actually also. And this is, I'm not saying that this is completely false, the second point. This also ties into a lot to what Jordan Peterson is saying, like, against the whole self-esteem movement. Like, buckle up, bucko, you need to create some worth if you want to be valued. You have to be valuable if you want to be valued and if you want to develop self-esteem. So this is not a total nonsense. But still, I think from a very wounded place, there's a bit of a toxic element in it. So I feel that's a difficult one. Well, then there's the part, I'm a hazard upon nature. That ties into what you're saying about what you were kind of hinting at, like the green church. I'm distinct from nature. That's kind of this, not quite, well, they're different things. I'm distinct from nature. I'm disconnected from nature. But then I need to get the grip on myself and get back in control. And that's really what Daniel Quinn calls the taker culture. Is really resonating in that. Like, okay, the solution to problems is usually more control.
Right.
More control. We need more technology, more control. I need some technology to control myself better. So I need
this ties into your way of discipline, controlling yourself.
That's the weakness in my thought. It's like I believe that I just need a magic pill so that I have better self-discipline.
Right, and then everything will be better.
Then there's that utopia where the big religions are always going on about, but also the believers in free market progress. If we just take away all the restrictions on the market, there will be utopia. If we distribute all wealth equally, there will be utopia. If we all be better Christians, there will be utopia. For me, it's if I just have more discipline, my life will be so much better.
Yeah, it's called an ideology.
Yeah.
You're totally fixated on one thing that will solve everything.
So, if I put it in other words, the solution to my problems is more control.
Right.
And then what follows from that is the solution to the world's problem is that I have more power. And that's our culture. Yeah. That's mother culture. That's just mother culture in general, whispering in everybody's ear, you need more power to fix the world. The world is broken. And for 10,000 years you've been applying power, but not enough because it's still broken. You need to fix it more. And meanwhile, we're destroying it more. And this is not to discount, of course, all the good things that have happened that were never remotely in the picture in the hunter-gatherer societies or less absolutist agricultural societies. I mean, that's not to be discounted, but cheaply. But that's just
my vision is that it's all part of evolution.
Yeah.
Because hunter-gatherers it's all fun and games, but it's they had also all kinds of other misery. But it's how we are evolved. Our instincts are evolved
in that context.
For that society.
Yeah, we haven't. I mean, our society has changed, but we haven't changed. Hardly.
Right.
In 10,000 years, you don't change that much as an organism.
No.
But then for me, here's the counter ideas. And that is actually not so comforting to me at first sight. Like when I say I do have value, but then I think like, okay, so if I have intrinsic value, then all things have intrinsic value. All living things. And I'm not a Christian, so I don't believe that this is just humans. I cannot bring myself to such an anthropocentric perspective. Or for many people, it's a nationalist perspective. Like Dutch people have slightly more value than French people. I mean, France is a nice country, but it's too bad about all the French people living there. So it's But I mean, if I'm not stupid enough for that perspective, so if I have to think about ethics now, and I think, okay, so if I have value, because that's a problem, you know, like I mean, you can go into like that's the problem. Like I've tried to some self therapy in the past where I'm like, okay, so I have value. I don't believe myself when I say that because I can only do that if I give all other people, all other living things value, and I was never willing to go there because I felt like, you know, I belong to the Green Church. Most people will
Why
have
do,
to, like most people
in
will
what
have to go for
in what context do you feel like things have value? Because I'm more of the idea that everything is meaningless in and of itself. So for me to apply to what is it put value on something is already to make an assumption about something.
no, okay, so I should be more
So
specific.
that gets getting real, might get real philosophical, but
No, this is great. So I need to be more specific. So with value, I mean having the right to live, deserving to live. Do I deserve to live? Like, because if I live, something else doesn't. And in the case of for modern culture, that's very much so the case. Because if I live every day, a lot of living space for wilderness space is sacrificed for me.
but it is very very ethical what you're saying. Very in the moral arguments. I'm rather tend to see the whole thing as a bunch of matter, or like our life like a biological soup, and one thing eats another thing, or like you say, yeah,
okay,
one thing
so maybe you're
eats
not
another
stuck
thing
with.
to live, the other thing dies,
No, yeah, okay, so
whatever.
maybe this is difficult to imagine, but imagine waking up with the feeling that you're not worth anything. So you don't have you're not worthy of life. So how do you go? Would you go about convincing yourself that, well, yeah, actually,
But I just you just exist. Why do you need to
well, because I
be
also have
allowed
to
to
stop.
be
I
alive?
have the choice to stop existing. That's always a choice. I don't have
Yeah,
to
but
exist.
that's not natural to stop living like that.
Um,
We
well,
have instinct that tells us to keep on living, to spread our
Well,
genes, to do
yeah,
all kinds
well,
of
so for
stuff.
me, I do have to exert aggression on the world because I'm aware of what my actions do,
Yeah.
roughly. Like not precisely. I haven't done the calculations, of course,
No. In
but
general.
roughly, I'm having I'm sacrificing uh, I'm sacrificing the right of and that's of course every organism does that almost except plants, you know, but even they compete with other plants for space. So I'm competing with other organisms for resources, like with other humans also, but also with other resources, you know. Like I have a nice job, many other people don't have a nice job. I live in a nice country where you have a lot of social security and everything, and there's just a high level of wealth. But many people contribute to my wealth without actually having wealth. But for me, I'm not so much of, yeah, I'm more of the green church, let's say. So I'm more aware of the effect I'm having on other living creatures. So for me, at some point in my life, I had to make a pretty aggressive decision. Like, okay, I want to live, even though it does a lot of damage to the world. I just want to live. But
Yeah.
that was at some
Why not?
point. I do not always have that much aggression to want it that badly, to be honest.
Hmm.
And
Very, very. Yeah, it's totally out of my world, I must admit.
yeah,
I'm just more like an self-centered, egocentric, or whatever. I'm just alive, and I don't really care about anybody else or any more other than me.
yeah,
And my in crowd. But after my in crowd, I could care less. I do have another reason. Like when you were talking about value, what I have in my head is something you recognize is beauty, because it's beautiful, and I like the world to be beautiful. I like people to have a beautiful life. I like
yeah,
animals to have their beautiful life. I like the world better when it's uh, when it's not destroyed, when it's not ugly, when it's not unnecessary suffering and all that kinds of stuff. But I don't have like a value about it. I don't think it's very, how do you say it? Yeah, I just can't imagine that you would feel
So
you're
for
doing
me,
something wrong just by existing. I know exactly what you mean about the down the chain and everything, but like taking other people's their place, I don't give a fuck about other people in that sense.
yeah. So
I
I
wish
don't.
them all the best, but it doesn't has any backlash towards me.
Yeah. So for me,
I can just shut it off. Maybe that's a protection, huh? But
yeah. So recently, I've not in the not too distant past, I've actually said the exact same thing, which is not to imply that I've somehow evolved, but I've arrived at the point where I just find it very hard to not think about it, and I don't think that's necessary. I mean, it's not pleasant, so I doubt if it's healthy, and
yeah, it sounds like a psychological problem. To be honest,
well,
sounds like a sickness. To be very
no,
honest.
so here's the problem. Here's the problem as I perceive it, societal. So when we lived in a tribal context, in the hands of the gods, our effect was also not that great outside of the tribal context. So sure, there was an extinction here and there. We did have we had an effect on the world, of course, like every species had, and we're pretty good. We just, we weren't any less clever 10,000 years ago. We were just as clever as we are now, and maybe even more so. Many people believe, on average, there was higher intelligence because there was, more chance of dying through violence and everything. So you had to be probably pretty damn good at living.
Yeah.
And had a pretty strong desire to survive.
At least, yeah, if you're intelligent or whatever, competent at
although
least.
I must say, for people who are really locked within the societal paradigm, if a few of those are listening, life was really not so brutal as it's usually made out to be. That's not been a sleep incline. Primitive agriculturalists had a way rougher life and way more famine. Like most hunter-gatherers, they live within the means of the supporting system, like most species do, and to as far as these lifestyles still exist, they often only spend between 2 and 4 hours per day on providing for themselves, rather than 8 to 10 hours per day. And they're also not that stressed out, and they're feeling connected. And if you can't even talk to them about things like fulfillment and stuff, because there's not a reference. All these empty things that we feel, they don't have a reference even for it. So
they don't know.
Their life might be objectively more miserable than our life, but subjectively, I dare say without a doubt that on average, lever people, as Daniel Quinn calls them, which have not taken up this totalitarian agricultural civilizational way of life, are way healthier in
that. Now I feel the urge to jump forward, and how we can take everything that we have now and get back what we lost and stuff like that. But let's not do that.
So my main point in the context of like why I feel that what I'm going through is maybe not necessarily pathological, although it's painful. I mean, there's a pathology involved, I think, but I don't think it's purely pathological. Is it actually the attitude you're describing fits perfectly well in the context 10,000 years ago. But it does not actually. It's the same thing as that when you're living in a nation. To some extent, nationalism actually does make sense, because that's how the nation functions. I mean, it doesn't really function if there's not some amount of nationalism. You have to have some kind of shared identity to have a strong nation.
I think you should. What I resist to instinctively is that I think you should watch out very careful to not feel as if it is your responsibility.
No.
Period.
No. As
if it's your.
I think that you might have pinpointed the pathological part of it. But I do want to say I don't think the whole is pathological, because what I want to say is that one of the counterpoints to the thinking errors I previously mentioned is that I am nature, human nature. So I am nature.
Yeah.
There's no denying that. I
Right.
mean, we agree on that, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I can ride in a Ferrari or whatever. I'm still nature.
Right.
We're doing this over high-speed internet connection. We're still nature. There's
Yeah.
no being outside. There is no being outside of nature. That's just science fiction.
Yeah.
And
So you're a representative of what we are doing. That's what you're trying to say,
not
isn't
even
it?
yet. I'm just summing up. I'm just summing up some other points to. Yeah, I'm not going at this very structured. Sorry, but
No. Go ahead.
so another point I think you can agree to, especially in your wishy-washy new age mode. No, that gives you the new age. Sorry,
Love you too,
is that
bro.
I'm connected to everything. I mean,
I'm what? Sorry, I was
I'm
talking
connected to
over.
everything. Where there's one planet, there's one, and it's in a certain solar system. I mean, you can pretty much say definitely that on this planet everything is connected,
Right.
directly or indirectly.
Yeah.
So let's say something positive now. That means I'm whole. So I'm not a broken fragment. I'm actually part of a whole, and I
Yeah.
am whole. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
a human being. I'm even lucky to still have all my dangly bits and in all the approximately right places.
Mm-hmm.
But here comes the final. I think for me that's the growth point out of addiction, maybe, and that is that the only way in which I can get stronger is through surrender, and actually acknowledging how small and insignificant I am more. Because otherwise I'm stuck in the boundaries of my ego if I don't accept how small I am, and at the same time, because acknowledging how small I am is also acknowledging how interconnected I am, and in that interconnectedness there's the power. And when I say, so what I previously said, if I'm painfully aware of how everything I do affects everything in the world, that is somewhere I understand that you hear green shirts there, like you're assuming too much responsibility, and you are right. Actually, I do that, and what I do that, how I do that is that I say, like, okay, first I'm disconnected from nature, but also I'm a big deal. I need to fix this shit.
Yeah. Some car coming by that I don't know.
Nice life if every car is a surprise.
It's so my territory. No way.
So
yeah. So no, and that was how small you are.
Yeah. So I agree. I think you did pinpoint the pathological part for me. That's that I.
Yeah, you shouldn't feel responsibility for it all.
I've blown
or to change it.
I've blown the responsibility out of proportion. But something I said to my significant other today, I said, like, the point is, like, I must accept that I'm going with the stream. I'm just
yeah.
For now, all I've been capable of. You know, I hold a regular job. I consume plenty.
If I can make.
No, wait.
Yeah.
Just so I consume plenty, but so in that sense, I'm just a droplet in the stream, and I'm not capable of going against the stream, but I am capable of being truthful about how it hurts me.
Exactly.
That's fucking painful to be part of the problem. I'm part of that hurt that's going over the cliff. And I am still running. I'm not at this moment changing my direction, but I can at least start to talk about it and the pain of being stuck in the hurt. And that's, I think, is actually something that people in the green church might also be liking to talk about. You know, like the whole, what they call in the Netherlands, the right calls mockingly the away with us mentality. Because I think there's actually something really positive in the way with us mentality, because it says maybe there's things in the web of life that are just as important as I am, and maybe we should start to find ways to create room.
Like
for
I
that.
said too, it mustn't end in an anti-human attitude. That's very detrimental. I think for our mentality, our spirit. That's just like there is that positive thing, but it goes, yeah, like the joke about the suicide club. I mean,
Yeah.
it goes too far. It goes anti-human. Like I see some people
Exactly.
just being
Exactly. And
negative. So
exactly.
it doesn't. That's not helpful. It's like I wrote in the family. It's like the way we try to deal with climate change and stuff. It's just backward thinking, but in the wrong way.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I'm pretty nuanced about it. It's not like that we don't have to look back and see how we can change stuff and that we might do with less or stuff, but it will hamper our ability to innovate if that mentality.
Yeah. Well,
It's because
yeah. So that's I
it's
do
just stress.
I do agree that there's a toxic component in it.
Yeah, toxic. It's bad for us and
But
for society.
in denial, there's as much as an evil.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what I wanted to conclude with the thing you were saying. Although I said, like, if you feel responsible, I think it's bad. It's not good for you. That's the same, like what I say. It's not good to start thinking anti-human. That's just auto-flagellation. That's very Catholic, Calvinist. It's very like we
Yeah.
are. I'm bad. That's just being a martyr.
Yeah.
We all have to do less, and we have to be less, and we hardly have the right to exist. Bullshit.
Yeah.
But
So
I do exactly what the rest of what you're trying to say, including that point that it might sometimes be really good to feel bad about it. I totally agree that you might need that to be conscious of like what you're saying, that you're part of the problem.
Yeah. So now I'm getting pissed because now I feel like this pain I have, like I described, this childhood trauma of my pain not being okay to be there. Now it feels like you said, like, yeah, sometimes it might even be okay to feel bad about it, but I want the right to feel totally fucked up about it. I feel really, really strongly fucked up about it. And I do not think that this pain will actually... I think the cure for me is not for this pain to go away, but for me to be okay with this pain.
You think, yeah, you've this disconnect.
I mean, it's...
Yeah, right.
It's
yeah,
like you know, when you used to get pissed when you was going on about a better, brighter future and things, and people just mock at you. For me, it feels... I think it's a bit in that, like I need... Like, one of the things I need to do with finding my voice is I need to find... I need to... not so much... maybe acknowledgement, but I need at least to fight for my voice. I need at least,
yeah. No, I wanted to get there. That this pain, you have to take it seriously, because, like everything you say, I just say that don't try not to feel too responsible for it all, because I'm worried for you.
Yeah.
But I
cannot fix it.
No, I think you need to feel it, because it's an indication, and like you said, you're everything that you said, like you're part of the problem, and if you continue with it, you're just doing the same thing. You're just running with the herd, and that pain tells you that, and tells you that doing something different is actually very important for you to be authentic, to be yourself, to stand for what you really believe in, and your everything you say is an indication that it's really urgent for you. And I think you're right; it is urgent.
Yeah.
And if you don't take that pain seriously, you can just, that's why you, why it bothers you what I'm saying. If you just pass by, or you think like, oh yeah, well, whatever, other stuff, you don't take it seriously enough to actually, what is it called in English, to acknowledge the consequences for your life.
Yeah. And actually,
I think it's really important to do that now, and it's for me as well, to
yeah.
acknowledge that pain, and to say, so like, let's stop doing this and start doing something else.
Yeah, so and this is actually where I do want to slow down and do a bit of and be soft on myself in the sense of I am a pretty small, insignificant creature, and it is completely okay that I've gone with the flow, although it's very harmful. I mean, it's okay that it pains me, but it's also like in the same way that I don't actually, like I said, I feel like these people in World War II who were on the wrong side, although they lacked conviction. I
Yeah,
do sympathize with these people. I don't find them repulsive cowards. I've never felt that way. Like
you can never do more than you can.
exactly. I'm quite small, and I think the best thing I have is actually my voice. That's something I'm starting to realize. Like,
Yeah,
not even my writing or whatever. The best thing I have is actually just my voice.
yeah, and even to use your voice, you have to find the courage to use your voice.
Yeah,
That is not evident.
and I'm just not the person who finds it easy. Maybe I will one day or soon. I don't think so, but I'm not the kind of person who finds it easy to just say, like her sister does. Like I just fuck it. I go completely against the stream in some senses. Like in regards of living my life. But I do want to be the person who's saying to people like, hey, who's not pretending that he's not seeing that the disaster that's unfolding. Like I don't want to be that person anymore who's lying or lying by omission. Not that I want to be
Yeah,
preaching all day, but I don't want to be like when I talk with friends or family, I no longer want to play the game of like that superficial thing that people do to pretend they're not in a crashing airplane. Like
right. And
I no
you
longer
don't
want to
have
play
to
that
be,
game.
yeah, you don't have to be perfect, and only do things that don't put a weight on the system. But you can say that you're not proud of when you're doing them.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah, that's yeah,
I think it's a unhealthy thing to be too strict about those things, because then then it's almost impossible to live in this world without feeling bad all the time.
yeah,
But like you say, it is that. Yeah, yeah,
yeah, and I think it is an. Uh,
I don't you think that it's like you were saying, you're not the person to go against the stream and everything. Don't you think it might be an idea to try and go live a different way, that to go into a direction that might be the solution to how we are living our lives? Some people, we have to start somewhere place, even if they're small.
I don't know. I I I'm I like against I like going. I have so little liking for going against the stream that in high school, even though I like most of my friends of sorts acquaintances that I hung out with, they didn't care about how the way they dressed and everything, and but I tried to fit in, even though like they didn't care. Like and I'm it's
Right.
I, I have very bad, like everything that smells of hippie somehow Yeah, you know,
No, like I said, I'm at a point in my life, and I can imagine, like I said to you, I think it was before the stream,
yeah,
I saw something saying to change this system where big corporations and bank own the world, and we are all just slaves. To paraphrase it, to make it really simple, we just have
yeah,
to start taking those things in our own hands. And he said, crucial is land. Uh, what is arbeid in English? Not
labor,
work, but
labor.
labor, land, labor, and capital.
Yeah,
And if we don't start to take control of that, and there are ways we can control that as people, then we'll never change a thing. So I'm in a situation in my life that I might have the possibility to use this 20 hectares around us to start some kind of business model with people to make a cooperation and to go and live another way. So I'm really asking myself, do I want that bad enough to really make these changes, to really make these decisions, instead of trying to carry on like a normal company with employees, and to, like what you're saying, to continue participating in the system and
yeah,
have an opinion about stuff, actually doing things that might be solutions, to at least live in a space where you're trying to find the solutions instead of just perpetuating the system.
yeah.
And like you said, I have a problem with hippie communes and all that kind of problem with. No, but it's not something I want to do for myself.
Yeah, it just always,
Uh,
it somehow it always seems so claustrophobic to me. Like, because I mean,
yeah, but
when you're used to
like the
to
corporation solutions are very serious businesses in the world. They're structured like that, where just the workers own the thing, and
yeah,
there are no shareholders and
I have to
everything.
admit that
So,
actually I've been offered to buy in to the company where I work as well. But yeah, the problem is that we're not building stuff that inspires me. Like it's just
so yeah, that's I was thinking about this. We have 20 acres. We can hectare, not acres, and we can start to make food forest here and earn money with some tourists and do this and do that and do all kinds of things. The potential is there to just make nice things. So I'm really,
yeah,
really at a point in my life where I'm asking, which way do I want to go?
yeah,
Do I want to go business? The idea to make this business work and with people who like to make it work.
yeah,
That's an inspiring idea, but somewhere I'm afraid that I'm lying to myself. What is it? No, lying, not lying, but that I'm falling into the trap again, the normal trap, and that I can tell myself, yeah, and then I can do other things in this business and this and that. But like I'm 42. Maybe it's starting to.
he's really
cat,
insistent.
cats are. They have their own. They live outside of our world.
Yeah, they definitely live in a different dimension.
Oh, but I'm seriously asking myself, and especially like what you're saying about meaning and everything. How long can doing something standard again? How long can it inspire me? It is. I mean, it's not time lost. I might always decide later that it's the
Yeah,
time to do things. But
yeah. So I know
it might be time to choose a direction that really has that dangerous feeling of, this is a thing that seems impossible, and I'm just going to try and do it, and that has the meaning in there that that my meaning of life in there. Well, you
yeah,
get what I'm doing.
yeah. It has a certain allure, and I have to do some soul searching actually. Like, you know that I would have already joined you in France, like doing whatever, if I hadn't been admitted to university. So that was a 0.1 difference.
Oh, I don't even remember.
Yeah, I might have not told it that clearly, but I was quite depressed during the final part of my prep for university, of course, because I had to do all that high school stuff because I was too stupid to be admitted just like that, too
Yeah.
ignorant, and then I just at the grade it was just high enough, and my backup plan was go to fuck it and go to France and try something together, maybe doing gardens or something.
Oh yeah.
And of course, I tried it when I started my job. I tried to do some side garden projects as well, but then I discovered that just replacing people's garden tiles isn't really my hobby,
Yeah,
and doesn't really give me meaning either. And that not everybody likes wood chips in their garden, and
so you do need Roundup.
And no, I didn't go that far, luckily. But yeah, it's enticing, and but at the same time, I'm still married to. I've got married to the idea of doing my own programming language or computer language, and maybe trying to get my employer into that, and maybe do something to get that, develop that further, and maybe base some products around it.
Right.
But yeah, it's shifting a bit in my head, because it's all shifting a bit now that I'm looking for identity. And actually, the last few days have been pretty wild in that sense. Because I do have to acknowledge that I haven't really made any progress towards any of my non-day job dreams in the last half year, and I've had very little creative output. And I've worked on my language a bit, but even there I feel like, people have told me as well, like okay, so you're going on about this idea, like person to person, but instead of trying to make it, maybe you just need to get the idea out there. So
and those things, they don't exclude doing something together. Let's be blunt about it. Maybe we can solve the clan thing a bit. Finally, our mother and our sister are very unhappy that we don't join them over there, but that's I don't know. Even if it's for creating nice stuff, I really love the wilderness over there, but I might have an occasion here to do something with some land.
Dink is trying to destroy the stream. Meanwhile,
but that's that feeling that I have about it is more simple. I mean,
I get what you mean. Your main purpose is just let's get together, and that way we'll be more brave and cleverer.
And I like to do a project on this place here with a clan of people, but then I need a clan of people, and then you have, and whatever you and create a life, like you said, like I know you're agreeing with, that you don't have to work 50 weeks per year full time to pay the rent and of everything, but that you do have some one or a few projects together to make a living, and that you have a lot of spare time to do other things that are part of who you are and that you want to do, and that you have people around to inspire and to challenge, and to, even if it's on physical level, to challenge each other for being healthy and in sport and everything. And we could stop living in our cubicles. The one problem I do see here is the lack of good internet. You're making your money with a job, but you're getting to the end of it, and it doesn't have to be a thing we decide today. But
no,
I'm also in that meaning crisis, and I know, I want the owner of this terrain wants to do, at least verbally, he says he wants to do stuff. I mean, there's whole stories that we can talk about that, but my girlfriend wants to. Really love the idea of having a clan, but the starting a small group of people doing something. The other hand, both of us tend to feel like, but it might be better if you just that we are the boss. But then I'm thinking for myself, might be better if I am the boss, because I don't know if we can work together, her and me, really well. I don't know. You and I don't have a problem with that. I think
I
we
don't.
could.
I'm not boss material. That much I know.
You're not what boss
Boss
material.
material. I get bored. But
Yeah, you need to have people. Yeah, yeah. I'm kind of boss material in in the sense that I like coordinating between people
yeah,
in
I
that
hate that.
sense. So
Yeah.
no, that's so I like that thing. But
Like I can have a leadership role, but I cannot be boss. But yeah, like I was saying, like I have this still that story in my head, that language thing. But at the same time, I don't see a realistic, at least short time way where that would make me money enough to live,
uh,
especially the way I live now, where I just need
yeah,
like a pretty decent income to exist. You know, like two people living off it in a
yeah,
city in the Netherlands. And especially if you want to do some things to keep yeah, you know, to stay sane. And I mean, yeah,
yeah,
if you don't want to,
yeah.
a marginal life in the city is just really
Right.
boring.
And I cannot offer a good life to more people because what we have here now isn't really enough to have lived
No,
a good life with more people. It needs to be more. So maybe that's a responsibility that I can take to make something that I can invite people to
yeah,
participate and have a good living.
I
I
can,
mean,
I
that's
am of
a way of
course,
seeing it too.
I am of course in the luxury position that if I live anywhere where life is much cheaper, I can work like a quarter of the time. I mean, not with my current job. There I have actually, I used to have that flexibility, but in my current contract I don't. But I can find
Hmm.
a job where I get paid a decent
Yeah,
amount
if
of
you
money
have
for.
decent internet, that might be a problem here.
Yeah,
Kind of.
yeah. I
Well,
do
well,
need decent.
I found
I'm
a
only.
solution for that.
My IT skills are only worth something with decent internet.
Yeah, yeah, I did found a solution for that. Okay, and the fiber is close here, but I'm not fixed here. But it's more like it's more of the question if it for me maybe for you too is it isn't time to take responsibility for all the things that we don't want to live and to start trying to live something that we do want to live.
Yeah,
Simply put.
yeah.
But maybe that's time to maybe it's time to think about it for a while and
yeah, yeah. And I have to
talk
admit
about
that
all those things because this time you were more talking about all the things that don't work out and the pain of it and the I'm still curious what was your how was your conclusion about you said we were both wrong about our attitude towards addiction but that you had like an answer to what would be the right
yeah, maybe it
attitude
might be
potential.
what you've been hinting at, but I don't think you can just go through it and then that solves it. Like I think you already hinted at yourself. Like uh, your life didn't really started to change for the better until you started to assume responsibility, which gave your life meaning.
Yeah,
And for me, it's just the same. Like that's when I became more than these things.
yeah,
And that image also where we looked at last time, like maybe I can put it on the screen for so where
yeah. And then the danger is with addictions is still, and we talked about it last time a bit, is still that the addiction will uh, hinder the meaning because meaning is very much related to all the chemical things that happens in our body and our brain,
yeah
dopamine, rewards, and everything. So
yeah
when you're substance abused, you can totally fuck up that system of meaning effect.
yeah, and
That's
I think what you now describe actually takes place in these two dimensions. So I mean, if you have substance abuse, it's just difficult to get bored because that's where you use it. So you don't seek excitement, and you stop kind of learning,
mm, uh,
or yeah, or maybe not entirely, but how it felt for me with just just basically internet addiction. It's like I don't allow myself to go into boredom, and I just shift a bit between very shallow excitement, anxiety, and attempts at relaxation, which are also not that deep. Like so I don't go very high on the energy and arousal skills. And then it felt like when I started adding meaning, like a third dimension, like when I entered that third dimension a little bit deeper, I could go through these a bit wider. Like I wouldn't, like I would stand my boredom a bit longer, and then I was open to a bit more excitement, like really new things. And even anxiety was more like a meaningful struggle sometimes. But boredom was more like a grind. And yeah, so for me, I had always, like, because this is, I should say, I forgot that I didn't say it this time, because we already discussed this previously when the recording failed. So this is basically a simplification of a model that our father came up with, like a motivational model.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, where we've been spoon-fed his theories, of course, him being the household guru. And this is I think one of those things, like he has talked about synergy, where you voluntarily, where there's some more foliation in this whole cycle, but I feel like what was missing in those descriptions, him being a militant atheist and everything, and basically a big baby, is meaning and responsibility. Well, the meaning, which I think for many men at least, I can speak for women. I think women have to speak for women. That's a different topic, but I think often we're different enough that it requires maybe a different perspective. But for me, meaning coincides with responsibility a lot. Well, also what Jordan Peterson is often preaching. Yeah, and how did I get there? Like, I feel like I've gone off track. That's interesting. I now have a different color now that I switch back to my webcam.
Yeah, you're like red.
Yeah, yellow background.
Yeah.
Yeah, I lost my thread.
That's the train.
Yeah, because you asked the question, like, okay, how does this? Oh yeah, you asked me, like, you still need to tell me how we were both wrong.
Yeah.
So I was wrong in treating myself like I am wrong. I should say, it's not like I'm suddenly enlightened from that point of view. I am wrong about treating myself like a robot, which just needs to perform tasks, and that's of course is tied to my basic insecurity, and that's that I need to show value and show worth. Like, so I just need to perform like a neat little robot and be useful to people. And for me, the challenge, I think, now in this point in my life is to find the meaning that is indigenous to me, that belongs to me. And I've kind of given up. So, like, I found some meaning in responsibility, but this has all been external responsibility. So I've assumed some responsibility for our household. I've assumed responsibility at work. So I've just took, like, I've just taken on responsibility as it arrived. But now also when you're saying like these scary things, like, oh, maybe we can do some broader thing together, start something, like, then I think, oh, but what will my spouse think of that? You know, that's the first thing. Like, I've taken some responsibility there, and not that's the only thing holding me back, but that's that part of me has kind of gotten watered down, like, you know, like where I'm looking for what gives me meaning. I've kind of replaced that by being taking on meaning from others, and I have to give that up. Like, I have to now look, okay, like what do I need? What for me is the most meaningful? And I cannot.
It's an assumption of mine to assume that might give you meaning also.
Yeah. So
that's not said that would give you meaning. That might be my meaning.
no, but at the same time, like what I'm saying, like that's also, of course, like there's things in there which I think like maybe that would give you meaning, but I'm not sure if it would give me meaning. But there's also parts where I think, oh, that might give me more meaning, but then I have to give up something that I currently derive a kind of, should I call it? Meaning by proxy from. So most of my meaning I now have is meaning by proxy, because if I'm quite as stubborn, like I shouldn't say it, like I have vision, and that vision I do not allow out, and all my meaning now is based on by serving others, and other people have different visions, so I'm not serving my own vision,
right?
And that I think is my meaning crisis in simple words.
Yeah.
And
a crucial thing.
And like what you're saying, that also is threatening a bit, that meaning by proxy. But that's not the only. I mean, it's also, of course, the part like I have to think like, okay, that sounds nice, but like currently, like maybe the most meaningful for me is just to talk a lot on camera. For instance.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
But I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, it's totally true, and I'm the same. Like I said, I'm doubting. Should I take on a project that could take 10, 20 years of my life with my girlfriend? Well, I'm not really sure. We hardly know each other. All the kinds of doubts. But it might be fun. It's a challenge, and it might lead to other things, and it won't take all my life. So I will have time for other things. So. Or is it the moment to try because maybe that's because I have some occasion now in my life, might have some occasion to go in another direction, to choose another more meaningful path. So, but maybe that's also not really the best way to
can I interrogate you on that a bit?
To live, to put that meaning in my life. Yeah.
Will you allow me to interrogate you on that a bit? Like so.
Yeah.
Just like my anxieties about my and guilt.
Oh, wrong thingy.
Like how you interrogated me on my guilt trip over my partaking in the destruction of the world.
Yeah, I was being a bit big brotherly about that, wasn't I?
That I'm going to be small brotherly about something else, which is not to say that
I was like exactly telling you, you shouldn't feel too much pain about it.
No, but that's fine. I mean, that's why like that's also I think why I think the conversation that we've previously failed to record was good, but this might be even better. So if I can interrogate you on that a bit, it's like. So you describe these two options, like one would be like stepping, for your feeling it's more like stepping outside of the system, but then with a totally different kind of plan, and the other one is more like maybe going through this more traditional camping business like and seeing what happens there, but then with your significant other, which you don't feel you can completely rely upon. But previously you were also talking about you don't want to plan, and you just want to live and trust,
exactly,
and to serendipity.
Yeah, but
so
if you take
how do these two options compare? Like when you hold them
very
against
hard.
that lens?
It's very hard to juggle. It's already with, like you say, my significant other. On the one hand, like I was into the idea we're going to do something together, and then she tells me, yeah, but maybe not next year because I go do this and that, maybe a year later. And every time it gets pushed further away. But she's pretty clear to, but I don't want to, I mean, it's not of essence if it's this year or next year. But I'm like, but it's very important for my meaning, for my motivation to know what we're going to do, because then I feel energized. I feel like doing that. And if it's just that I have to stay doing the same thing for years to wait and see if it will ever come to fruition, if it will ever come to fruition. And she's the first to say, but you mustn't base your life around me. But it's very difficult if you have a project in mind.
Yeah.
And it's the same with another project, with option 2, like choosing another direction and trying to make steps in a direction of living, of trying an alternative system. That too is a project. So at a certain point, it's very hard to juggle. Like I said, it can be. I don't. That's like in my mind, and on the other hand, I don't want to try to force decisions. But I'm kind of like the opinion. Yeah, and like with you now, I talk about it. It comes in like where you are in your life. I'm like, oh, maybe it's time. Like we have like a crisis of meaning, and we realize ourselves that we have a crisis of meaning. So maybe it's time to take another direction and maybe try some.
Maybe it's time
to bundle up. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, and it is the same with her, with the other thing. It's like the more I am clear about myself, clear towards myself and towards her, that okay, so I'm not going to try to fix a point in time and space that we are going to do this or that. The more I'm clear about that, the more it seems to become clear what the other wants or doesn't want. And it has led to a confrontation, like I said, multiple, but like I said about an education. Like, well, you should do an education in management. I'm like, no, but why? Because if you want to be an owner of the thing, you need to have the paper for the bank and for this and for this. And I'm
tell
like,
my boss.
It's not.
Tell my boss that I need an education in programming.
Yeah, but that's just where we. Yeah, no, but that's where we conflict in mentality already. I'm like, yeah, no, it might help with a bank, but. And she was telling me, you at least on your contract it has to say that you're managing the stuff, but that's that title has what is it in English? Juridisch.
Yeah, it has tax consequences and stuff.
Even in responsibilities, it's really the official title of the person who has authority to sign stuff and everything. So anyway, but. It was like, but you're from education, and I'm like, yeah, but it's you're just telling me that you're not sure where this is going. You're telling me you want to, but you're also telling me to not count on you to maybe take another couple of years, or maybe never, or going to do something else. Not fixate my future on you. So no, if I'm not sure it's useful for me, I'm not going to do an education. An education that doesn't tell me much, because since I was 18, I worked with our father in.
But would you do the education otherwise?
Well, I don't feel I need it.
No, but I mean, like, it sounds a bit like a straw man, like. It sounds like me, like you wouldn't do the education either way, so that's not really an.
No, but I mean, I don't see the use of it because.
No, but that's what I mean. Like even if
if it was for a goal,
if she said like very concretely, okay, definitely next year we're going to start this thing. Go get that education. You would say, yeah, okay, let's start next year, but I'm not getting that education because I don't need it. That's what I mean.
Oh, in that sense, I don't feel I really need it, but it might, if you're serious about it, might that the bank wants to see something like that. If you're really being concrete about it, why not?
That's
but if it's really like a step to make, even like, true, even if it would be, we would be concrete in our plans, I wouldn't do it if it wasn't clear I needed it for something. I might like to learn more about how all the tax things and company structures and everything in France here. I might want to know a little bit more about that myself, because you really quickly need a good a person that's really good in those things. I know that I don't know it in English,
Accountant?
but yeah, I know something about who knows about all the fiscalities, fiscalist in Dutch, how all company structures and tax laws and all that kinds of stuff. And I really know that it's very quickly you better ask advice of a specialist than knowing all that stuff yourself. But that side of things I might want to learn something about, and bookkeeping stuff and everything I learned from when I'm 18, but not especially the French stuff. So I might want to know something about that. But then if I spend some days on the internet, I think I will know anything I need to know. I mean, how hard is it to learn stuff if you want to learn stuff?
Yeah, it's
If
not
I
hard.
really need some kind of a paper that says I can do.
If it's just about the knowledge and you're motivated, it's all out there.
That's my thing. But I'm like we're having a confrontation because I live in a totally different reality.
Yeah.
And so that makes me doubt if that would work out. But what the cool thing is that I can I feel totally like all the things that we're talking about now. I feel the need to explain to her why that doesn't work for me. To why I feel like that, why I see it like that, and I refuse to believe. I refuse to go. Damn it! How do you say that? I refuse to let go of what for me is like the most true.
Yeah.
Like my reality and my way of thinking, and it's because I don't want to, as much as possible. I don't want to, or I want as little as possible to fake, to try to be somebody I'm not.
You've tried that, right? You've tried that. It didn't
right.
work.
That's it. I can tell her, yeah, sure, this and that, but I know it's not going to work. I know I'm not going to be motivated.
Yeah.
That motivation is very important.
I've tried being a good little robot, and I've run up against the limit of that. I think I just can't stop feeling like, you stupid fucking computer, if you feel like you need to be programmed, go do it yourself, stupid, lifeless. Stupid
but that's my problem. Like, if you're asking me about those projects, that is my problem, that I have a bigger doubt that even if I go do and try to make a regular company and everything, it has motivated me for a few years now to do all those things. And the idea of doing it my way and doing it better, everything, it does inspire me. But I'm very doubtful if it will motivate me for long. And especially if I'm, again, doing it with somebody that has a completely different style than me of being and of seeing society and life and the world, and of doing business. It's more like I'm not too much. I don't really like all the rules and all the little thingies and all. And she's very strict about those things. So there again, there's it might be a bigger prison. Then it might be a bigger prison, and does cost me my motivation compared to where I am now with the current owner. Yeah. That's pretty much freedom. We both have the feeling we want to do something different. I mean, he has his own problems and everything, but we're not like those little. He also lives outside of society.
Yeah.
At least we have that in common.
Yeah.
So, in that sense, I'm very much doubtful if that, like what you say, you have this, how do you call it? Hupplepup by proxy, your motivation? No, you didn't.
Yeah,
meaning by proxy.
Yeah.
I'm afraid, I'm very suspect of my own motivations to want to go there.
Yes, I understand, yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's
because you followed those kind of things in the past with ill result.
yeah, it's just an instinct to want to be something together, and it might also be a very healthy thing, and unhealthy that I'm afraid of that. A healthy that I
Healthy
want
kind
that,
of,
and
yeah.
unhealthy and unhealthy that I'm afraid of that, because apparently I don't trust that it can be okay, that you can be together and
No, but
do a
it's
project together.
but it's
Maybe that's just fear,
the
but
fear itself is never unhealthy. But if you are at some point convinced that you need to get that you need to go there despite the fear and you don't, then maybe that's unhealthy. But the fear itself is not cannot be unhealthy. I think. I mean, it's good to have fear for new things. I think it makes sense, especially if it smells a bit like things you've already tried in the past, and you have to figure out like how can if I do want to do it, how can I make it that it's not so. So I think the fear is your ally as long as it's not. Yeah, as long as it doesn't have the last word necessarily.
yeah. And if it doesn't work out, you can always quit. Yeah,
Yeah, and then I mean,
always stop it.
and you can always still go to Portugal if you're really tired of it.
Yeah, yeah. It feels like almost doubts put to the side. It feels like still feels like an occasion. The things that I could do here that I shouldn't be too lax about. Also because, like and you probably did the same. I let a lot of occasions, possibilities, options. How what is it?
Yeah,
Chances pass by in my life,
yeah.
and
But sometimes you have to. Oh no, no. Let's say it's good to grab opportunities, but you have to like the tires for me. They got really tiring. You know, my side business, and I'm really glad that I let it go now. Like it just ate me up and
mhm,
started to eat me up. Although it gave me a lot of motivation for some time working on that together
yeah,
with my business partner, who's like he was really motivated and energetic and pulled me through this for 1 to 2 years. But in the end, I'm not good at quitting. My problem is like I'm bad at quitting things. Like I'm good off the start things, but I'm
yeah,
bad at
yeah,
quitting
yeah.
them. And if you're good at quitting, it's safe to start. But if you're bad at
Yeah,
quitting,
that's
it's
true,
scary,
true.
man.
Yeah, and if you don't afraid to lose everything,
Yeah.
then you can just say fuck it. And yeah, and what I was realizing now is to come back to what you just asked about these things is that to make these decisions, I am very much effectively at the moment in the mindset to wait and see what comes up until it becomes
Mm.
clear. Like if I give myself the time to experience all these things, to discuss it with you, discuss it with another, to think about it, to feel everything I feel about it, then it will just become clear. And sometimes it's really hard to have patience and to resist this program that says you have to make a decision.
Where's your plan?
Where's your plan? Yeah,
Where's your
for the inst
diagram?
well, and that's
Flowchart.
and it's coming back to the beginning of discussion. My plan is to try and to be true to myself as much as possible in all this, and to I cannot decide right now, so I'm indecisive.
Yeah.
And just be with it and see what happens. And if I don't decide anything at all with those things, and it all dies away, and life goes on, and whatever, okay. But that I am now able to have that confidence.
Yeah, that's nice, man. That's really nice.
Yeah,
That's really
to
nice.
yeah.
I am lacking in that confidence. I
I am
hope to
I
get
am
there.
more. But this may be because I quit all those addictions recently. That I'm more curious to see what happens when I let things work out, and I take and I put my energy into uh, maximizing being myself.
Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, that sounds
That's
good.
that's different. That's different than just letting go, like what with the addiction story, just letting go of control and everything. Now it's like my meaning And there it comes back to the whole thing. My strongest meaning now, and all those projects and all those things are just maybe something completely different comes along. That's what I'm gonna do right now. And all this thinking and talking turned out to be completely useless. But my strongest meaning is that right now. And I think you might have the same thing. It's like being honest about towards yourself and towards the people around you, and like what we're doing now.
Yeah.
We decided to communicate it with the world and see what happens.
Yeah, indeed.
I mean, I wouldn't have believed you if you told me a few weeks ago.
No.
Yeah. Maybe fine. One day we'll see.
Once we finally figured it out.
Yeah, and this came forth from your and mine crisis of meaning.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, like what you said, you have projects just as
I'm also curious where it will bring us, and that's. I think you gave me a bit of I was feeling quite hopeless today actually about myself and having little faith in my own developmental process, and I think that's a nice positive note to.
I think we share. I think we share that meaning. That, like you said, you're at least you're fighting with yourself. You're like searching. You're looking. Yeah. What's wrong?
Yeah.
Might be the most important thing for you as well, and to be sincere about it.
So as a cliffhanger, what will we talk about next time? Sincerely, I think we've probably been at this like 2 or 3 hours.
I have no idea how long it was, but it's probably too long for anybody to watch.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Next time.
We might be philosophical and talk about what we think might be needed in another world that does work, or that is nice, that is beautiful instead of ugly.
Yeah, because that's something we share. Like, I want to serve beauty, you want to live in beauty. That's what we determined when we were together in France earlier this year. And I do not want to live in a less ugly world. I want to live in a beautiful world.
Right.
With beautiful people, and not people who are also wounded and isolated.
We might start to talk about those things. We have a lot of ideas, I think, about human nature, about society, about all kinds of things, what we think might work better than what we are doing. Like maybe trying to sketch a world.
Yeah, like the tribal thing that's nowadays so in vogue to treat as something negative, like, oh yeah, the tribal thing that's causing left and right to clash. But it's also just a part of our really important part of our human nature that has many positive aspects. And
I think we both have a lot of stuff in our head about how things work and how they could work or should work, and I think both of us a huge amount of knowledge about a lot of things.
Yeah, the strange thing is I don't really feel that way, but if you do, let's explore that next time. It sounds like I think too. We're at the point. Let's say, it sounds like we're at a point in our lives where you're more optimistic than I am. So I would
not in the sense that we know know answers, but in the sense we were talking today about how stuff feels and how it works or doesn't work for us or for other people. In that sense, we have a lot of
we have plenty of avenues for exploration. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, might take out a few points that we think that really should change.
I'll try to come up with a few nice
to make, like you said, to make life beautiful, to make life suck less. Yeah, like you said, this time you didn't say it like that. But last time the thing we didn't record. You said life just sucks the way it is, and a few things we might think that are crucial to make it suck less. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
start somewhere. More meta, but also, yeah.
Right.
Mm.
I'm stopping the recording.
Right. Okay.